Red, an apothecary of the town Zoltan, is well liked but conceals his history. He was originally Gideon, the current hero's brother, and a member of his sister Ruti's hero's party. Ares, the sub-leader, banished Gideon for being a liability due to his inability to enhance his combat skills. It would be a dishonor for him to return to his order as a Bahamut knight, so Ares enabled him to leave for all the stuff he obtained from the party. Just vanish and begin a new life. Red encounters Albert, an adventurer who needs a guide through the woodland to battle a fearsome owlbear that has appeared nearby. Red declines, hoping to keep his background and powers hidden. Tanta, Red's young companion, is suffering from an ailment that may cause him to go blind. Red enters the closed-off forest. Albert sets fire to the woodland in order to drive out the owlbear, forcing Red to kill it in secret. Albert is suspicious but insists that he killed the owlbear in order to receive the bounty. Tanta is rescued and Red's uncle Gons, a carpenter, constructs Red his own house and drugstore, allowing Red to begin his tranquil life. Red's store is visited by a familiar face. Rit is the princess of Duchy of Lagurvia, which is a major military power. She fled to Zoltan to escape a power conflict in her family, and she hopes to live with Red, whom she accepts grudgingly. As Rit settles down with Red, Tissy Garland, a new recruit with the divine blessing of the assassin, joins his previous hero party. There are flashbacks of Red and Rit's background in this episode. The hero and his companions joined the Duchy of Lagurvia. Rit was the princess of Lagurvia and a brazen B-rank adventurer who said the Duchy didn't need the hero. Rit had promised to her employer, Duke of Lagurvia, that she raid the Demon Lord's army food reserves. Rit found her lord was dead and had been impersonated by Shisadon, a general in the Lord's army, during the failed raid. She was almost slain, but Red saved her, and Ruti killed Shisadon. Rit felt unhappy after the death of her lord, until Gideon rekindled her desire to battle and eventually defeat the Demon Lord's army. Gideon was deported soon after and lived in Zoltan as Red the pharmacist. After successfully getting a painkiller Red invented approved for sale, it is vehemently refused at first by Dan, the one in charge of approvals, because of a similar treatment with addictive features he approved months previously, and was blamed for its impact. Rit is able to have their painkiller approved thanks to her connections. To go along with the new product, the two create a market and health supplement or cold fever treatment in the form of a cookie, to avoid the bitter flavor that most customers dislike that sells out in hours. Meanwhile, Danon has grown tired of Ares after their unsuccessful attempt to discover the Demon Lord's weapon with the help of the desert people. Ares is enraged by the assumption that their failure was solely due to his poor leadership and Red's absence. Knowing that Ares simply banished Red out of jealousy, Danon sets out to find Red with Ruti's blessing. The blessing skill system, which can only be leveled up by murdering another sentient living being with a blessing skill, is also explained in this episode. Blessings can have an impact on one's personality. For example, possessing a combat skill can make someone more likely to engage in violent activity. Many people are taken aback by the fact that Rit, Zoltan's most fearsome adventurer, is working and living with Red. Rit has a strong desire for mead and goes out to purchase some. Albert comes into the store and accuses Red of the owl death. There's Albert attacks Red when Red denies any involvement, but Rit's reappearance saves the day. Albert is taken aback by Rit's efforts in Red's store, as well as Red's quickness in catching the mead Rit dropped before it touched the floor. When Red and Rit go to Zeph's sauna, they see that there aren't many people there because there's a competing bathhouse with a restaurant and massage parlor erected by nobility. Zeph is convinced he will go out of business. To entice clients back, Red proposes placing a potpourri of therapeutic plants in the sauna itself. Rit later disclosed the cause of her desire for mead. It reminded her of Lagurvia tradition of newlywed spouses drinking mead together. Meanwhile, Theodora asks Tissy if she thinks joining the party was a mistake, as the hero's party keeps failing, prompting squabbles amongst themselves, something that never happened when Gideon, or Red, was still alive. Rit refuses to be bribed by the Adventurers Guild to return to adventuring. The Thieves Guild offers Red a similar bribe, but Red declines. Red presents Rit with an amber bracelet, and teases that his next gift will be a gemstone. The Thieves Guild is concerned that Rit will regard them as an adversary, so Dia attempts to blackmail her by threatening to divulge her location to the royal family. However, Rit is unconcerned by her royal rank, and Dia is unsuccessful. Before the hero's party defeated the Demon Lord's army, Rit recalls that she and the party wanted to seek assistance from the Duchy of Sunland, but they needed to cross the Bewitching Woods, a dangerous magical area. With the help of Red's friend, Yarendrala, a high elf immune to the wood's magical effects. Rit assumed Yarendrala preferred Red, but she was taken aback when Yarendrala advised her to pursue Red on her own. Reed, however, realizing how close Red was to Ruti, chose not to get in the way of their relationship and left the party to rebuild her homeland. Ruti misses Red badly, and recalls that soon after he deported, she became aware that Ares had done something to force him to go, prompting her to almost kill Ares. Red saves Jackson, a victim of poisoning while delivering medicine to Dr. Newman's clinic. The doctor identifies the poisoning as narcotic opioid overdose caused by the Fishy-approved painkiller. Tanta's buddy, Al, announces that she has achieved her blessing, that of the Weapon Master, after taking a swimming picnic break with Rid by the river, which is a chance for them to get closer. Albert's party members go insane and attack Reed until Albert kills them. Meanwhile, Danon travels to Zoltan in search of Red, where he encounters a man named Bowie, who is on the lookout for Red. Red recalls inventing reasons to hold Ruti's hand as a child and promising to become a knight so he could go on adventures with her. Dr. Newman appears out of nowhere carrying an injured Al. Meanwhile, Tizzy hears of Ruti's lingering sadness caused by her brother's disappearance as the hero's party is resupplying at an oasis in the Blood Sand Desert in preparation for another expedition. When Al recovers, he claims that a demi came to their house and attacked him and his parents with an axe. However, Red and Dr. Newman discover Al's parents alive. The news that a demi had fled after the attack enraged the residents of Southmarsh, who claimed he was being protected by the town guard led by a demi's father, Moen. Red and Reed work to arrange a meeting with Moen and Tanta after hearing that Tanta was hauled away by the town guard for questioning. Moen apologizes for Tanta's treatment, but refuses to believe that his son has become a possible killer as a result of his blessing's impulses. A stranger approaches Alan the apothecary, and hands him a red-bladed shodel enchanted with a locate spell. Reed catches a drug dealer at Moen's request, but she gets trapped in an ambush, which Danon saves her from. Danon respects Gideon's desire for peace and quiet, so he tells Reed to remain silent about his presence. They also learn that the assailants are small demons dressed as humans. Protests against the townsguard are heating up, possibly instigated by Big Hawk himself, as Red and Reed travel to town to get Al a weapon fit for his blessing. Meanwhile, one of the former Demon Lord's weapons, an airship, has been discovered by the hero's party. Ares demonstrates his incompetence as a party member during the battle with the Demon Guardians, but refuses to admit it. While the airship provides Ruti with the opportunity to collect her brother, she declines. Big Hawk's henchmen capture Al while Reed talks to Dio and the individuals who sent the red shodel. Al discovers that Big Hawk is the one who distributes the Devil's Blessing, the drug that is afflicting Zoltan. Big Hawk intends to exploit Al to further his own goals by having him execute a demi, who is now in his possession. Instead, Al frees a demi and Red saves them both. When Red confronts Big Hawk's group, he discovers that Big Hawk has been taken over by Belial, a contract demon. Albert tries to assault Red, but Red slices off his sword hand, as he's overwhelmed by his desire to join the hero's party. The town guard approaches Albert and Big Hawk, and Al and Demi reveal Big Hawk's intentions to the public, putting an end to the problem. A few days later, it is discovered that Red and Reed's relationship is strengthening, and Al has not only decided to begin traveling but has actually joined a party. Bui, on the other hand, pays a visit to the possessed Big Hawk in prison, revealing himself to be Shisadon, the Demon Lord's commander slain by Ruti, who chastises Belial for exposing the latent potentials that the Devil's Blessing can unleash in people. Belial breaks them both out of jail to join the hero's party after establishing a new contract with Albert, only to have Ruti pull her sword on them. Bui applies as a B-ranked adventurer in Zoltan as Reed and Red begin marketing hand warmers for the winter. Ruti receives some Devil's Blessing from Belial and, in search of some more, abandons the hero's party and takes an airship to Zoltan with Tissy, posing as simple adventurers. Tissy meets Red at a roadside food shop and recognizes him as a seasoned adventurer, which Tissy informs Ruti about. Later, Red and Reed are directed to a fairy dragon hamlet to see a patient, an archfey named Undyne, who is suffering from a magical drain that is spreading across Zoltan as a result of the presence of a very powerful monster. Ruti and Tissy break Godwin, the Devil's Blessing originator, out of prison, and seek out the local apothecary to cure the injuries he incurred in the process, which leads to an unexpected reunion with her adored brother. As Red and Ruti catch up, Ares' betrayal is revealed and Ruti declares that she wishes to stay with Red, giving up her claim to be the hero. Ruti becomes ill when she returns to the inn, prompting her to search for elven ruins reported to be nearby that could be used as a secret laboratory for creating the Demon's Blessing. Bui, using an enchanted crystal heart, is shown to be the source of the recent magical drainage in the area. Ruti makes an attempt to blend in with Zoltan, but her intimidating nature thwarts her efforts. Ruti explains to Reet and Tizzy about how much of an emotional support her brother is for her while taking a bath together, especially since her blessing as a hero has rendered her immune to joy. Tizzy makes a covert decision to save Ruti from her forced duty as the hero. Meanwhile, Ares and Theodora enlist Albert's help in locating Ruti. During a break, Theodora explains to Albert that the people's blessings do not prevent them from choosing their own path. Tizzy tells Red and Reet that she discovered about Ruti, and they come to the conclusion that while Ruti's immunities protect her from the devil's blessing for the time being, if she continues to take it to negate her hero's blessing, she would eventually succumb to it. While Red and Reet prepare to walk the elven ruins to question Godwin, he runs into Danon, who is overjoyed to see him. Nevertheless, another Danon appears. Meanwhile, in his obsessive jealousy of Red, Ares demolishes Red's shop. Red visits the Elven Ruins, actually an abandoned outpost of a highly advanced long-gone society, where he meets Ruti and Godwin. Ruti observes that an extraordinary blessing without name appears to have emerged in her, as they debate the impacts of the devil's blessing afterwards. Ares confronts them shortly after, but Ruti resists and abandons him. Ares is subsequently confronted by Bui, an Azura demon who believes that the ruins contain the object left behind by the first hero, which Ares can utilize to reclaim Ruti. Meanwhile, the real Danon meets up with Theodora and Albert, and the three of them continue their pursuit of Red and Reet. The heroes gather at Ares' location after realizing what he's up to. Bui is attacked by Danon, whom he seriously wounds with the assistance of Ares before revealing himself as Shisadon. They reach the chamber containing the artifact they're looking for, 5 sword blades, sibling of Ruti's sacred sword and relics from the time of the first hero like Ruti. When Red's company arrives, the two attack, intending to kill Red and sway Ruti back to her duty as the hero with the sacred swords. Theodora appears and fights Ruti in an attempt to sway her back to the hero's side. Reet objects, pointing out that her bearer of the hero's blessing is not the world's lone rescuer, and it's the people's choice that makes someone, anybody, a hero. Red, Ruti, Reet, Tizzy, and Godwin confront their foes. Red kills Ares, but Shisadon dupes Ruti into touching one of the sacred blades, exposing her to the compulsions of her blessing. She attacks Red in response to this urge, but her blow is deflected by Tizzy, critically injuring her. Red is about to disarm Ruti, freeing her from the sacred blade's control, but her blessing is revoked. Theodora heals Tizzy's grave wound as an act of remorse for her obstinate belief in the hero's blessing, and those present realize that being a hero is not determined by one's blessing, but by one's own decisions. Red has accepted Reet as his wife, and his life in Zoltan has returned to normal, with the exception of the occasional emergency that Ruti decides to resolve. Yarandrala meets with Godwin somewhere in the forest, who informs her of Red and Ruti's whereabouts, motivating her to return to Zoltan with them. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you in the next one.